How's it going, guys? In today's video, I'm actually going to be giving you my thoughts on the NHL awards and picking my winners. Obviously, a few players have already won awards. McDavid with the Art Ross for most points, Ovi with the Maurice Richard for most goals, and then Jonathan Quick with the William M. Jennings for being on the team that has the fewest goals against, but a ton of awards still to give out. So we'll get started here. The first one is the Vezina Trophy. The three finalists are Connor Hellebuyck, Pekka Rinne, and Andrei Vasilevskiy. Obviously, three very good goalies, all had amazing years. I actually had Hellebuyck on both my fantasy hockey teams, Vasilevskiy on one of them, and they really helped me out. Rinne, too, had a great year. Let's see if I can get some more stats or something like that. There we go, perfect. So you can see the records there, all very, very similar. Goals against also pretty similar. I was actually surprised to see this. Rinne has the best. Vasilevskiy actually had the worst. Save percentage is all pretty close. Rinne there also has the best save percentage. And then shutouts, both Rinne and Vasilevskiy had 8. And Hellebuyck there had 6. So I feel like this trophy is completely up for grabs. Honestly, I could go either way for this thing. But I think I'd probably go with Pekka Rinne, simply because he does have the best stats there. Lowest goals against, highest save percentage, tied for the most shutouts. Also, his team had the lowest goals against of the 3. Nashville actually only allowed 2 more goals than LA in the entire season. So Rinne was actually 2 goals away from tying Quick for the William M. Jennings. Not sure what happens there if 2 teams have the same goals against, but yeah, I think I'd go with Rinne, simply looking at the stats here, although it is very close. And next up here, guys, we have the Selke Trophy, obviously best defensive forward. 3 nominees, Bergeron, Couturier, and Kopitar. I feel like I don't even have to go that far into this one. I think this trophy should probably be named after this guy. I think Bergeron wins it again, just by far the best defensive forward in the league, in my opinion at least. I think it's not even close. Couturier and Kopitar are both very good defensive forwards as well. Kopitar would probably be the runner-up in my opinion, but Bergeron's a league of his own, kind of like Lidstrom when he went on a tear, winning the Norris Trophy like 6 or 7 years. That's basically the same thing that's going on here with Bergeron and the Selke. And next up here, guys, we have the Norris Trophy, obviously awarded to the best defenseman. 3 nominees here, Doughty, Hedman, and Subban. Now, I feel like the Norris Trophy is more about who's the best defenseman who hasn't won it yet, opposed to who had the best season as a defenseman. Otherwise, Karlsson would be winning it like every year, same with how Lidstrom was doing it. And now in saying that, Burns won it last year, Doughty won it the year before that, Subban has won a Norris. Hedman's the only one of the 3 that has yet to win a Norris Trophy, plus Tampa Bay had an amazing season this year, so I feel like it's Hedman's turn, and for that reason, they're going to give it to him. Although of the 3, I do think he's probably the most deserving this season, so I think it's fair, but I feel like a lot of times they do just kind of, you know, rotate the Norris around, trying to figure out like whose turn is it next to in the Norris. But having said that, I honestly do feel like Hedman is the most deserving of the 3, and he hasn't won it yet, so that'll kind of work out nice. Next up here we have the Lady Byng Trophy. This is awarded to the most gentlemanly player, so basically someone that does well as plays a clean game, doesn't have a lot of penalties. So I wasn't really sure, obviously, what these guys' penalty minutes looked like for the year. Karlsson here, 78 points, 43 goals, which is just ridiculous. He had 6 the year before, 12 penalty minutes. Also, he's plus 49. That was the highest in the league. That's just another little tidbit, I guess. O'Reilly here, 61 points, only 2 penalty minutes. He took 1 penalty minute all year. Ridiculous. And then Barkov here, 78 points and 14 penalty minutes. So honestly, this is a really tough one. I feel like if they just go by penalty minutes alone, obviously you give it to O'Reilly. He had 1 penalty all year. But if it's a mix of everything, like who had the best year, played a clean game, and just kind of contributed the most to their team, I feel like it's going to go to William Karlsson. Not only does he have the most points of the 3, and the most goals, and the highest plus minus, but I also feel like you could argue he's the biggest surprise player of the year. I showed you his stats there. He just came out of nowhere and on the expansion Vegas team, which I feel like the voters are going to love. So even though O'Reilly only had 1 penalty minute, I don't think it's just penalty minutes. As long as your penalty minutes are low, that's enough. And with everything else involved with Karlsson, you know, just having his best year of his career by far, most points of these 3, most goals, his plus minus is insane, playing for the expansion team, it's going to go to William Karlsson, kind of just like an award for coming out of nowhere and becoming an all-star. And next up, guys, we have the Bill Masterson Trophy. This is for dedication to hockey. 3 nominees are Brian Boyle, Roberto Luongo, and Jordan Staal. Obviously, this is probably like the easiest one to pick. It's going to Brian Boyle. The dude is fighting cancer and still playing hockey. If that's not dedication to hockey, I don't know what is. So that's like 100% guaranteed Brian Boyle's winning that thing. And moving on now, guys, we have the Calder Trophy. So this was a pretty hot topic of debate earlier on in the year. Barzal versus Boeser, who was going to win it. Keller's also there, but he's definitely like on the outside looking in. And before Boeser's injury, I think it was a very close race, but after Boeser got injured, Barzal just came away with it. Even before that, honestly, I would have picked Barzal over Boeser. And if you look at their point totals, like Barzal just went off, 85 points in his season. Absolutely unreal. Plus, he wasn't even playing with Tavares. Like, he was just carrying his second line. And I feel like he is hands down the best choice for this trophy. I know a lot of people in Vancouver were trying to make arguments for Boeser to win it, but I just don't see it. Barzal, in my opinion, just is the best rookie this year, and it's not even close. Next up here, we have the Mark Messier Leadership Award. Obviously, best leader in the NHL. So you got Derek Englund, Wayne Simmons, and Blake Wheeler. So for this one, I'm going to go with Blake Wheeler. Main reason being basically Winnipeg Jets, really young team. Never been that great of a team. Like, they were, mediocre at best the one year they made the playoffs. And like I said earlier, they had a very young team this year. Not a lot of expectations. People thought they might have been able to make the playoffs, but that was about it. And Blake Wheeler led that team to being the second best team in the league. They absolutely dominated the entire season. And I feel like, obviously, he's leading that team. He's a big reason for that. And I think, for that reason, he definitely deserves that award, leading all those young kids to being a top 2 team in the league. Definitely is not an easy task. And next year, guys, we have the Jack Adams Award for Coach of the Year. 3 nominees: Jared Bednar from the Colorado Avalanche, Bruce Cassidy of the Boston Bruins, and then Gerard Gallant of the Vegas Golden Knights. I feel pretty bad for Bednar, as I think any other year he wins this trophy for bringing the worst team in the league, who was one of the worst teams ever to exist, into the playoffs the following year. Unfortunately for him, though, the Vegas Golden Knights joined the NHL this year, and as an expansion team, Gerard Gallant led the Vegas Golden Knights to winning this Pacific, which is just unheard of. It's absolutely insane how good they're doing, and now they're in the conference final, which I know doesn't affect the regular season, but still, I mean, what he did with Vegas is just no small feat at all. It's pretty remarkable, to be honest, so I think he's for sure winning this award. I feel like John Hynes of the New Jersey Devils also kind of got snubbed here. Really thought he was going to get a nomination, as a lot of people had the Devils finishing last in the Metro, so the fact that he got them to the playoffs is also pretty impressive, but still, I like the 3 nominees here, and I think for sure Gallant's going to win this one. Next year we have the Ted Lindsay Awards. This is actually best player as voted by the NHLPA, so just other players in the NHL. You got Taylor Hall, Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McDavid. Obviously all 3 had amazing years, but the one who had the best year and is currently the best player in the NHL, which is basically who the Ted Lindsay is given to, is Connor McDavid. So I think Connor McDavid takes home the Ted Lindsay, led the league in points. I mean, basically just drives that Edmonton team. Without him, I don't know what they would do. So even though Hall and McKinnon had great years, I think Ted Lindsay still will go to McDavid. But Hall and McKinnon both have a chance here at the Hart. As you can see, they're both nominated along with Kopitar. Now, I feel like Kopitar is definitely going to be 3rd here. It's Hall and McKinnon's trophy. Their stats are honestly really close. Hall had 93 points, McKinnon had 97. Hall had a much longer point streak, the longest point streak in the NHL this season. I forget honestly what it was. Was it 25 games, something like that? Ridiculous. And obviously, getting a point every night for your team is huge. McKinnon, although he didn't have those long point streaks, he had crazy multi-point nights. I think he had 5 points 2 or 3 times this season. He'd have stretches where he put up 12 points in 4 games, just ridiculous stuff like that. But the deciding factor for me is a stat I heard that really shows you kind of who's carrying their team, and that is the fact that Hall had 42 more points than the next highest leading scorer on his team in Nico Hischier. So Hall finished with 93 points. Hischier had 51. So Hall had 42 more points than Hischier, who was second in scoring on his team, whereas McKinnon had Rantanen, who had 82 points or something this year. He had a great year as well. Breakout year for him. Landeskog was also pretty high in points. I think he had 60 something. So after seeing that stat, it made sense to me that it wasn't just McKinnon carrying the Avs this year, but actually that entire first line, Landeskog, McKinnon, and Rantanen. Whereas with the Devils, it was literally just Hall carrying the team the entire year. Without him putting the team on his back, they are nowhere near the playoffs, and they are kind of the dumpster fire team a lot of people predicted them to be. So for that reason, I think Hall deserves the MVP, although I have a sneaky suspicion that McKinnon's going to win it, even though, like I just said, I think Hall is slightly more deserving of the 2, but both are very, very deserving in my opinion. So this trophy's for leadership on and off the ice, giving back to your community, charity work, things like that. 3 nominees there: Daniel and Henrik Sedin, PK Subban, and Jason Zucker. And I feel like other than Brian Boyle winning the Masterson, the Sedin twins winning the King Clancy is definitely the next best lock. They're retiring this year, so they're going to send them out with a trophy, just kind of for everything they've done. The best twins ever playing the NHL, probably now and in the future, and it's just kind of a nice send-off for them. I'm 99.9% sure the Sedins win this one. And that's it for the awards, guys. Definitely let me know in the comments section if you disagree with any of my picks. We'd love to hear from you. I think some of them, like I just said with the Sedin twins, are obvious who's going to win, where others, like the Hart Trophy, the Norris Trophy, the Vezina, could really go any way. So we'd love to see what your guys' picks are. Also, if you guys enjoyed this one, leave that thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you do that. Thank you guys for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.